Hello, boys and girls. Today I have a special nonfiction reading lesson for us to partake together in. Our lesson is called Timeline, Talk, and Tell. Let's get ready for Reader's Workshop. Our objective today is I can use timelines in order to learn more about the topics I am reading about, as well as enhance my knowledge and understanding of the important dates and special events that are included in the nonfiction books we read. So, if you remember yesterday, we had a special lesson about biographies and timelines. Timelines are very important in nonfiction texts. Let's explore a little bit more. Nonfiction writers often include timelines in their books to clearly organize for readers the sequence of events in a specific period of time. A timeline consists of a list of dates and events in the order in which they occurred and a brief written description of each event. So if you look at the picture of the timeline of George Washington, it starts with the day he was born in 1732, then the day he marries his wife in 1759. Then it goes on to when he was elected for president in 1789, and then when George Washington, when he died on December 14th, 1799. Some timelines include visuals to help us too. Readers understand about the subject of a book when they read and use the timeline to organize the significant events and special dates in their minds. Let's take a look at a timeline in one of our books. We already talked a little about timelines when we read Dr. Seuss's biography. Let's explore the elements of this timeline. So if we look at the picture on the right, this is a timeline that is found at the back of the book, and it's titled Timeline of Dr. Seuss's Life and Work. So let's take a look at what a timeline includes. So here we have an anchor chart of elements of a timeline. So some timelines is usually about a person or an important historical event, such as an invention of the computer. Number 2 includes important dates. Number 3 is organized chronologically in the order in which the event happened. So it's done by dates. Remember that big word? Number 4, dates of events are accompanied by a brief written description. So that means next to the date, there's going to be a sentence that tells about the important time in that person's life. Number 5, it sometimes includes visuals, photos, or illustrations to further enhance learning. So remember, a timeline, there's different dates. So it's important to add pictures so that people can visualize those timelines in people's lives. Number 6, it can vary in its display. Some timelines are organized horizontally, left to right, while others are organized vertically, up and down. So if you remember at the timeline that we saw about Dr. Seuss, that one was done vertically. And number 7, events should be read in order. Even if they appear on different sides of the timeline, they may be on different sides for space consideration, but this does not change the order of events. So that means that sometimes they could be up and down, but you read them in the date order that they occurred. Does remember what chronologically means? At the beginning of this lesson, we discussed that chrono refers to life. So chronological is the order in which things occur. So yes, chronological order is the order in which the events happened. So all the dates have to start at the beginning and continue to the end in order. Now, if we take a look to the right, does this timeline include any visuals? Remember, the word visuals refers to pictures or images or photographs. So take a look on the right. Do we have any of those? What do you think? Yes or no? If you said no, you are right. How is this timeline organized? Horizontally, meaning left to right, or vertically up and down? So if we take a look at the image, do the dates go from left to right or up and down? If you said vertically, you are correct. So let's refer back to our anchor chart of the elements of a timeline. So here in our timeline, if we look back, we know that our dates of events are accompanied by a brief description. So let me just take a look back. So for instance, in 1904, Dr. Seuss was born. In 1925, Dr. Seuss' first cartoon was published. So there's the date with a description next to it. And another example of the elements that we had in our timeline was that it can vary in display. So our timeline was in a vertical format, meaning up to down. So it started with the date in 1904 and then continued to go down in an up and down format in a vertical organization. So, as we learned here today, a timeline is a useful tool that a nonfiction writer can use to help readers understand the important dates in the book. We know that when we read a nonfiction book, there may be a lot of information at once. So, if we use the timeline as a text feature, we can really look back and see the important dates that the author really wants us to understand. We looked at various items that are included on a timeline, using the one in the back of Dr. Seuss as an example. So, if we take a look back, we also know that they can have varying display and the events should be read in order. So, if we think about the timelines that we see on this page, they're done in chronological order. So, it's important to understand their life and the events that happened that led from one thing to another. So, when we're reading a nonfiction text, it's important to think about the events in which they happened and when they happened. So, boys and girls, whether the timeline is vertical or horizontal, events are often placed on both sides of a line. Today, we are going to see how timelines are a useful and simple way to organize and display information all at once. If you look on the right here, you could see the different formats, okay, or ways in which timelines can be displayed. Timelines can be about people or important events. They include dates and brief written descriptions of the event, and they sometimes include visuals. So, a brief description is basically a sentence so that we can understand a small glimpse. It's almost like a little bit of a summary where we get to understand a small piece of that person or the specific event. Timelines can be organized horizontally or vertically, but it's important to always read the events in the order in which they appear on the line. The events are organized chronologically or in the order in which they happen. So, those are our big words of the lesson. It is important for us as readers of nonfiction to understand how to read and use a timeline to help us find specific information and understand the order of events. Now, sometimes we will have this feature in our nonfiction book, and if we're glancing over to see if we're interested in this book, we can look at the timeline to see about a person's life or events if we want to be interested in it. So remember, I'm reading that when we're reading nonfiction books, we can jump around. So this is a feature that we can look at before reading a text or after to make sure that we understand the topic at hand. So now here's the time where we're going to practice this skill. So during your independent reading time today, we want to see if you are able to find a nonfiction book, whether it's at your home library or maybe accessing a digital book. See if you can locate a timeline in your book. Read the important events and see what information you have learned that was helpful. So if your book does not have a timeline, we can actually complete this worksheet together and we can test out if we understand a timeline and the information that's provided in it. So I would like you to continue watching this video, and I would like for you to pause it so you can look at the timeline a little bit, and then we'll answer the questions together. So here we have a timeline, and our timeline titled Watch Ben grow. Now I'm thinking about some of the features that we've seen, and here it's categorized by age. So we have age 1, age 2, age 3, age 4, age 5, and age 6. So it's in chronological order. It's going from his first birth date all the way up to his age 6. Now, if you notice on this timeline, we have images or pictures. So this is helpful so that we could see the growth of Ben and his life and how much he has changed. So if you look at age 1, there's an arrow right above and it says a little description. So remember, timelines can include dates or ages. It goes in chronological order. There can be a picture and a description as well. So I want you to take a look at the descriptions that are there for Ben and each of his ages. So let's take a look. It says at age 1, Ben walks. Now at age 2, we go to the right and we have a picture down below. And that's not to confuse you. It's just to show you have it in an organized way that sometimes they might put an image above and below the year indicated. And that's just for spacing purposes. So at age 2, Ben draws. At age 3, Ben rides a bike. So we can use the picture clues to help us with the sentence as well. At age 4, Ben plays ball. We're going back up. At age 5, Ben writes. And at age 6, Ben reads. So now what I would like for you to do is pause this video to look at questions numbers 1 to 4 at the bottom and see if you can answer those questions based on the timeline above. After you're done pausing, I will then state the answers on the next frame. Good luck! Okay, nonfiction readers, let's check your understanding of chronological order using a timeline. Number 1, what can Ben do at age 4? At age 4, Ben plays ball. What can Ben do at age 5? At age 5, Ben writes. At what age can Ben draw? Ben can draw at age 2. Does Ben ride a bike before or after he can play ball? So let's look back up at the chart. He rides a bike before he plays ball. How do you know? I know this because at age 3, he rides a bike, and then at age 4, he plays a ball. So that means that he can ride a bike before or when he was younger. So back up at the timeline, I can see that he was able to ride a bike first before he played ball. Awesome job, readers. I am so proud of you that you were able to examine timelines to understand the importance of chronological order today. So what I will do is I want you to think about how well you did in this lesson. And if you think you did a really good job, give me a thumbs up. If you can use timelines to learn more about the topic or person you are reading. Awesome job, readers. I cannot wait to do more of these online sessions with you.